personal, casual chats from the founders of Levelty books. Important and interesting issues that also have something to do with learning English. Practice English with Levelty podcasts and listen for hidden grammar items and benefit from tips at the end of the video. Hi,
welcome again.
This is our new Levelty podcast episode, and today we'll talk about
reading.
Like one of my favorite English authors is Oscar Wilde. I just love the way he writes.
Really?
Yeah.
What's so good about that?
Well, it's got such a taste, and it's saturated with irony. So you can feel this irony all through, but at the same time it's very elegant. And another special word, but he can be so poignant, like so on the point, but always in a very beautifully twisted way, or in a twistedly beautiful way.
I see.
Yeah, so especially his dialogues, like he has characters that can say such things, it's like you see the character, you feel the way they are put into this world, or just to make it simple, you feel the characters and what they say is so characteristic and sometimes so philosophical, but as I'm saying, in a very ironic way. And it's not just simple irony, but it's this self-irony that I really appreciate. I like it in people when they can, reflect on themselves with humor and with a bit of dark humor. And Oscar Wilde is perfect for that. I've read, and my favorite is The Picture of Dorian Gray. I've read it 2 times.
Oh, what is it like when you read something twice?
My memory is not the sharpest, so I do have the thrill of the story again usually. But because it is familiar, I can go deeper into the taste of language, for example. For the second time, it's more reflective.
But if you read it for the second time, it's also about you, maybe?
Maybe for the second reading, it's not, because it's not as fresh as for the first one, I can relate it to myself better, maybe. Yeah, that's a very good thought.
I have also read a couple of books 2 times.
And how is it for you?
And for me, they are different books because they are not novels. I prefer reading nonfiction most of the time, especially books on, not philosophy, that's your topic, psychology. And I always experience something new when I read it for the second or sometimes the third time.
Yeah,
because
sure.
My life is different. So I find different ideas, different reflections in it.
Yeah, and in every book there are so many details, and it's impossible to
grasp all of them for the first time.
Yes, exactly.
I just realized that even fiction books can give you the feeling, the similar feeling as nonfiction books. But when I was younger, I preferred the direct way of explaining things, and that's why I preferred the clear psychology books.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I enjoy reading fiction, which has a touch of this.
Do you want me to lend you The Picture of Dorian Gray?
Is it like that?
It's a very psychological. It's deeply psychological.
Yeah, sounds really good.
Yeah. And the language.
The language. Oh, actually, when it comes to the language, do you know what I enjoyed a lot when I was very young? And
linguistics?
Okay, linguistically. It was not linguistics, but Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland. I just loved it. And that's a book that I've read a couple of times. Because when I was very young, I read it for the story. It was amazing, being in Wonderland and experiencing such interesting and mystical things.
Yes.
But then later on, when I was a university student and we learned linguistics, it was pointed out that Lewis Carroll used the language in a very interesting way. So,
what way?
I can't explain it to you now, but in a way that all the grammarians quote from him a lot. And then I was interested, and I read the book again in English, because for the first time I read it in Hungarian. I was very young, but then I read it in English, and I realized that it's so different.
Actually, I haven't read it yet. I should.
So it as if it was not the same book, actually.
Actually, yeah, it's a very special book because children enjoy it because it's a fairy tale, but it's very, very layered.
Absolutely.
And it has such a message for everyone on very many levels.
Yeah, that's right.
I haven't read it in English, but I should, because then linguistically also, but it is just full of these archetypical symbols.
Yeah.
You never get as much out for the first reading as you do.
Not at every layer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but now that we're talking about books, I'm really interested in how you choose the topics for the Levelty books novels.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're so different.
Because these are learners' books. And not only the topic, but the genre itself is in a great part defined by who it is written for. So when I set out to write the pre-intermediate book, then I knew I had to choose a topic that I would be able to tell a story on a pre-intermediate level and still make it interesting. And then after some thinking, I realized that basically I have two choices. To write a romantic novel or to write a crime story in almost like in a comic way, like only with the dialogues. It's not mine to write a crime story in a very simple language, so I went with a love story.
It's a topic that is not as difficult as other topics at this level.
Yeah, you can tell a lot by appealing on words that describe feelings like I don't know, being happy, sad, disappointed, crying, laughing, loving, liking. So that was why I chose that topic. But when it came to the upper intermediate book, I knew that I had a much wider choice, and I wanted to teach them eloquent English, close to an academic level. So I chose, as a protagonist, I chose a university professor. And that is a crime story, but it's a mystery crime. So there's lots of secrets, and there's also a codex in the story. Well, actually, it has quite a central role. So through this codex, history comes in, and mystery comes in, and spiritualism comes in, and FBI comes in. So
you had a much wider choice. It's very interesting because when we talked about the first book, we just said that it had to be simple but understandable, and you couldn't choose a topic that was not as easy to grasp for the first time as well. But now that we're talking about the highest level book, we can say the same, that it was not as easy as it sounds what to choose, because you wanted to give the proper level.
Yes. And the proper set of expressions and the proper set of grammar, and to incorporate it organically in the story. So it's a much different starting point than as if I was just writing a story just because I want to. And through teaching, we also know that at the intermediate level, for most learners, they need to learn things that they can use in the world of work.
Yes, absolutely. They need to give presentations, they need to contact clients, have meetings, and so on and so on.
Yes.
Oh, okay, but this is the topic, or I mean, this is the goal.
Yes.
Then how did the topic come?
Well, maybe finding the topic for with this goal was the hardest, because I definitely didn't want a boring setting.
Yeah.
And then it couldn't go into so much into inside the office love story, because it's also a bit cliche, and then the language again is different. So, and then I had a creative spark, an inspiration.
Yeah.
I combined the goal with a topic that I'm really interested in, and I found, I think, a very good setting for it. So most of the story is set at a workplace, but this workplace is at the end of this century.
Yeah,
Actually,
so it's in the future.
It's a government body where our protagonist works, but it's not any kind of government body. It's the National Weather Authority. Because
Yeah, okay, why weather? So why this topic?
because it's very actual, and I'm also very worried about, this. No, I don't like the word climate change, because I'm not the most worried about the change of climate itself,
But the situation of...
but what it is a result of. The irresponsible use of natural resources and the overuse of natural resources, and just killing it. Yeah, but then as weather is also a major problem, I just had this vision that by the end of the century, we will have the technology to influence the weather. And this would be especially important for precipitation. Precipitation is things that fall from the sky, like snow and rain mostly. So my protagonist is a scientist who works at the National Weather Authority. He knows everything that can be known about influencing the weather. And then he has an invention. Through his work, he comes to an invention which turns out to be very dangerous, or which can be used for harmful purposes as well. And then, so the conflict comes.
But the setting still remains in the labor topic.
Yeah, absolutely. But then it does have a very personal touch, I think, so it's not that dry.
No,
is it?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. Yeah, it's not dry and it's useful. So
let's give some concrete tips to language learners as well, how to incorporate reading in their learning process.
Okay. The tip that comes to my mind is actually about vocabulary, because most of the time students are afraid to start to read in English because they're afraid that they won't understand every single word and that it will stop them. But I think you must make a difference between two types of words. One is that you really have to understand, because without them you wouldn't understand the story.
Yeah, these are keywords.
The keywords, that's right. But there are some words which are not that important. But if you meet a keyword, I think you should somehow take a note or underline it or whatever. And after reading that particular paragraph, I myself would look it up in the dictionary and then read the paragraph again.
Yes. If you're a language learner, then you can't read as fast as if you're, as in your mother tongue, but you still want to achieve the feeling of flow.
That's right.
Because if you enjoy reading, then first of all, you will not stop it. You will keep on reading. And second of all, what you learn will stick more, because that's what psychological studies say, that if you enjoy something and therefore can go deep into it, then it just sticks more. So yeah, for the first reading, just look up the keywords and then get the flow. And once you have the flow, once you have the feeling of the story, the taste of the characters, the taste of the dialogues, then you can go deeper into it and look up even not so important words.
Yeah, for the second time, you can absolutely do that. Or actually, if you are interested, but if you read for the flow, for enjoyment, then you should avoid looking up all the words all the time.
But this is also why it's important to choose a reading at your level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And actually, the same can be said for grammar as well. If you don't understand the structure, but it doesn't stop you from understanding the story, then don't stop your reading because of it. Go back to it once you finished your chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah, so reading can be extremely useful for learning English. We all know that, and we have known it for a long time.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't forget it.
Yeah. Just going back to this grammar thing, it just came to my mind that if you meet a grammar item that you don't understand, take a note of it. And when you see it again in another part of the story, then you can compare the two. You can take some intelligent guesses what that structure is used for.
Yeah.
The more you have, the more sentences you have with the same structure, the more you can understand what it's all about.
Yeah. I think that's not a secret. That's why we do it this way as well with
Yeah.
Levelty.
Yeah.
So yeah, in every chapter we focus on a grammar item, and you see many cases of it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I wanted to get back to a more overall viewpoint as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these days videos are far more popular and live chats and everything, but the obvious advantage of reading compared to these is that you can go at your own pace. It's not like, oh, I didn't understand that, but they're already very far from where I had some problem with understanding. So you can go at your own pace, you can get into it really deeply. It's not just, rushing with it. Mm-hmm. It can be, it can be such an intimate
That's what
experience.
I wanted to say. You just take a book, sit somewhere cozy, and then it's your me time. Yeah, with a tea.
Yeah. It's an absolute me time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.